Hello, welcome to the Movie Mates podcast, a podcast where we discuss the best place to spend your movie dollary dues. As always, I'm your mate Adam, and joined with me is my mate and your mate too, Ben.
Pew, pew, pew. Sup?
So we've been out for a little bit now, but we're back, and we, like we promised in our last review, we are reviewing one of the best sleeper hits on Netflix right now.
It's a diamond in the rough, this one.
And this show was so good that this is probably the show that I would credit the genesis of this podcast.
Yeah, I was thinking about that on the way here.
Honestly, that like we like this so much, and we were like, how come people haven't
know about this?
Watched this?
Yeah. So we've done a movie and series review podcast previously.
Yeah.
But this helped kind of like focus our efforts to say, let's see what we can find that people wouldn't normally come across.
Absolutely. I think the seed was planted when we watched this, and we were just like, this is insane that people don't talk about this show all the time.
Exactly right.
We're going to cut to it. This show is called Giri Haji.
So if you look at the title, it's Giri slash Haji.
Giri slash Haji.
And if you look up the translation, it is something like...
It's duty,
duty and honor?
Duty and shame.
Oh, shame.
It actually does say the English underneath
on the title.
The Japanese characters for the title. I think it has all three of them. It has the character, the romanticized Japanese.
Yeah, and then the translation.
A little English word down underneath.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Giri Haji is a crime thriller that takes place simultaneously in Tokyo and London.
Correct.
Where the murder of a prominent Yakuza family in London threatens to start a whole gang war off in Tokyo. So our protagonist, Detective Kenzo Mori, is sent to London to find his supposedly deceased brother, who had been implicated in the crime, in the hopes of de-escalating this conflict.
Situation. Correct.
So it's so you can see like there's lots of factions, there's lots of characters, lots of stuff going
lots
around.
Lots of moving parts.
As the story and characters weave in between, often sometimes between London and Tokyo. Like they'll fly over and they'll like start crossing over, and everything starts going crazy.
Yeah.
This show is, I'm just going to say, it's fantastic.
Straight up. It is like absolutely a wonderable show.
Our job will now to be to sell you on why you need to, why we think you should go and watch this thing.
If you won't just take our word at face value.
But we're going to tell you right now, the thesis statement of this episode is please watch this show.
Yeah. I can't think of very many other shows that I would recommend more. And which is crazy, because to our point, this is something that most people would never even come across. It's like one of the thousands and thousands of things on Netflix that's just there.
Yeah.
And we stumbled across it, thankfully.
And the way that I was recommended it was someone who I was like a client at my workplace. Was like, found out that I love movies, and I love a lot of nerd culture, a lot of consuming good quality entertainment with my precious seconds of my life. And he was like, Adam,
limited time.
You should watch Giri Haji.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through and it's amazing.
Yeah.
You should really watch it. And I was like, cool, yeah, you've recommended me some stuff. Like
cool
we clearly we sound like we have the same kind of taste. I'll give it a go, and was like, came back like the next day and was like,
Ben, watch this.
Yeah, I literally messaged Ben and was like, Ben, you need to go see this right now. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, unless I got told of this word of mouth, I wouldn't have seen this either.
Exactly.
And then I told you wouldn't have seen it either.
Exactly.
I was like, I don't know what Netflix are
told
doing with their marketing budget.
I've told so many people already. It's just like, it is. Yeah, it should be higher up on that algorithm. It should. I would have been very happy if this was pushed as one of... Do you know how you get those banners where it's just like, this thing's coming, this thing's coming?
This should have been...
This should have...
Maybe it was for other people, but I was like, was I not the target demographic?
Or potentially in the UK and other areas.
I don't know.
Who knows?
But also, just to before we jump into why we like this thing, also the sad news is that it actually got axed. It's been cancelled as of like September. So only recently they announced that it was not coming back.
Season 2 was not going to come around.
Good news though, realistically, it is a completely encapsulated, told story in one season.
Yes.
Only 8 episodes as well, an hour an episode, so it is 8 hours of content, but that's not crazy long.
Correct.
So you'd be able to get through. It depends on how fast you watch media, but generally, I
got through it in about a week.
This is a slower paced kind of show as well, so it's not something I would go necessarily binge 4 episodes at a time.
Goodness,
but like you would maybe a week or so you'd be able to get through
It's
this
good quality
pretty
content.
comfortably. But Ben, so what did you like about this? Let's get right into it.
So getting into it, there's two aspects to it. So we've already said that it's a crime thriller.
Yeah.
And I think that was handled quite well.
Yeah.
It had a lot of moving parts to it, like we said. It had a lot of suspenseful nature to it. It built that suspense up. It, as you would expect, built it up towards the last episode or two to kind of crescendo, to be everything is riding on these next few hours and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it does that very well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a few gaps in it and a few lulls in the story, but it also, in saying that, you have the main character of Kenzo, and it's really just following his story and everybody around him. But beyond that, there are subplots and sub-stories that are going on at the same time that all feed into it. And that, I think, is done very, very, very well.
Yes.
The other aspect that I really genuinely enjoy, and I think part of why I find this to be such a good series, is beyond just the crime thriller underlying tone of it, it also really touches on relationships.
Yeah.
The connections between the characters, the connections between the different characters, the impact different characters have on each other, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Kenzo's relationship with his daughter, with his brother, Rodney and his situation and his friendships and relationships, and just so much depth is put into the emotional side of everything that's going on as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazingly conveyed in how they do that. I think I was just saying to you just before, Rodney is probably one of my favorite characters because of his struggles. He's a very flawed character, but he's working through his issues. He's he's got his ups and downs.
Yeah. Rodney is a British-Japanese rent boy who Kenzo meets just in the process of his investigation of trying to hunt his brother down. Just bumps into him at a bar and goes, "Oh, this guy knows Japanese, and I can talk to him. I need him to, at that point, try to get me into a bar. He looks like he's well connected in the social scene around here." And then they kind of and he's like, "You'll pay me, sure." And then it kind of starts that way, and then they get further involved. And, obviously the story continues where Rodney plays a much larger part in the story.
Later on.
Someone to help out once every in a while. He again, Rodney is an absolutely amazing character.
Yeah.
Phenomenal character. And the actor is Will Sharp. Does
the
outstanding job.
Is spot on.
Yeah, it is
absolutely spot on. It is so very well done.
He's one of my favorite characters as well.
Yeah.
The other favorite character that I have is Kenzo's daughter, Taki.
Yes.
Who is played by, now I said to you before that I wouldn't butcher this name. I've got to look.
Should I? I can remember how to say it.
No. I'm gonna get it. I'm
give
gonna
you
get
a chance to say it.
Wait. Give me a second. just give me a second. No, I can't even find. Where's that?
Right, should I say it?
No. I've actually got the first name now. I'm just going. It's Aoi Okuyama. I got the one that I was struggling about, and then I got the. I missed oh my gosh! I'm all over the place. This is not a professional podcast at all. What are you talking? This is two idiots talking.
Aoi Okuyama.
Yes. She does a phenomenal job. Honestly, I just look at this cast and be like, I would watch anything these people are in ever again. If I'm like, oh, they're in it, I'm like, yeah, done.
They are all fantastic characters.
Yeah.
Just to kind of tie up my point around those connections. Kenzo is a great character.
Yeah.
He's certainly not my favorite.
Yeah.
He as a individual is quite boring to me.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
But
I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah. But the relationships is what really ties me in. For him as a character. Even his relationship with his wife, with his in-laws,
he's a very genre classic hardboiled detective who has
a duty to do.
Who has a duty, spoiler, and also has kind of is a good person, but has not always been super ethical in all of his decision making, and has some secrets, and has very, very classic genre.
Yeah. He fits that mold perfectly.
Hardboiled detective.
Yes.
Very, very classic.
Yeah.
And kind of kind of plain and kind of by the book in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So
exactly right.
Yeah.
And then contrasting that to his brother is also a fantastic part of that series.
Yakuza Hitman. It's great.
Yuto is just. He's like the coolest character.
Oh, Yuto's awesome.
He's just like this badass little Asian dude that is just like constantly smoking, constantly talking in like a low, mellow tone where it's just like, I don't give a shit. I'm just doing my thing, living my life and killing people.
Oh, yeah, he's crazy. Even that character is very...
There's a lot of depth.
There's also that is also a very particular archetype of character as well. Like if you watch anime, you'll see those kind of characters pop up.
There's always the cool popular character,
or the cool popular assassin.
Yeah,
like it's not a bizarre. It might seem a bit weird, but that is not that's not a far-fetched archetype.
Yes.
But again, there's a lot of depth in that, and as you said before, the themes. This show pushes its themes really heavily, more so than the plot. Often, it wants you to get the theme of the story rather than what is happening sometimes.
Yeah, but the thing is, it does that well.
About family is like one of the key aspect of this.
In more than just and not
Kenzo's just blood family as well, but like family ties.
And to our point earlier on, it is a story about. That involves the Yakuza and whatnot. So it talks about that family. I air quoting here on an audio podcast.
Yeah. Idiots.
The family aspect or those connections and relationships within the Yakuza as well.
What I really liked as well is that all the filming and the actual representation of both British and Japanese cultures feels super authentic. It does not feel like...
forced.
It doesn't feel like it's a bunch of British people in Japan doing... or even Japanese actors so for example, Will Sharp
is legitimately British Japanese,
but also Will Sharp is not playing Kenzo. Like there's just the cultural backgrounds of like these are all like Japanese actors playing Japanese parts.
The actors fit their parts,
and they play like they're playing a wholly Japanese
story or a movie or show. Yeah,
so it really does feel like two worlds, but that also gives this great kind of juxtaposition and highlighting between the cultures that feels like, as a Western audience watching it, like I felt like, you can see the things that are being discussed in kind of more clarity. Like, again, if you've watched a ton of anime or something, you might be like, oh yeah, like people talk about their honor all the time. But
if you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you've got Zuko chasing his honor.
But like even that's kind of a joke because that's not like actually Japanese. But like you're being like, okay, I don't understand why is that a cultural thing? But that like it's kind of more explained in this more clearly for someone that might not understand,
that might not know or like be aware
the
of
cultural relevance and differences in Japanese society to British or just Western society, and the idea of like the devotion to your parents, to your partner, to
siblings
to your,
and whatnot,
to your children,
to
your siblings that comes from a different place that what we're used to. Like his wife is a great example that doesn't really get explained or shown a lot of, but it kind of shows later that they're not really in love anymore. That they've grown apart, and it's not like that they fight or they don't really fight, but like they just got married young and then they just stopped being in love. But they're just like, well, we're going to die together because like
this is what we do.
And they both know that they're not really in love with each other anymore. But like that's life.
Yeah,
deal with it. You're gonna stick it out. There's no question. And like there's a lot of those kind of cultural touchstones that we don't get to explore enough as a Western audience, which is really cool that we get this thing and it feels authentic.
Yeah,
and that also comes into his daughter's coming of age story.
Her story, her struggles, her challenges.
Yeah, of being like, I want to like I love my father, but I'm also trying to run away from
my own person.
But I'm also trying to run away from my mother, but also my father, and then I'm trying to sort my own identity,
figuring herself out, really,
and like not knowing where to go with that. Like,
I think the, I suppose, sequence of events within the story is a very interesting one for her.
Yeah.
Because you could very easily see how things could have turned out differently.
Yeah.
If not for the sequence of events within the story, right?
Yeah. We're also trying not to give too much away. If you're like, why was Ben just so
vague?
So amazingly vague in that statement? Because this is a crime thriller. So if we tell you, then it's far less. It's not even. It's
far less
It's not
thrilling.
even a point of being like, oh, we don't want to give spoilers out on a podcast, but like, it is far less interesting. I mean, to be honest, I started rewatching it because we watched this show for the first time like ages, months
ago.
Like last year.
Was it last year? At least close to.
I think I watched this the end of last year. I watched this. It came out in August in 2019, I think.
Okay.
So I watched this in like maybe
Like
December, I think, around the same year.
Yeah, and I would have watched it around the same time.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't have been too far
Yeah,
off that.
but like, so I rewatched some in preparation for doing this review, and yeah, I was just like, oh man, like I was really being like, yeah, I'm so excited to see this again. So I did it. It does actually have replayability for me, but obviously, if you know some of the twists are coming,
then it's just like the story loses its edge.
I mean, I'm excited to see it again because I've already seen
know
it
the
once.
story.
But if I was told without seeing it, then I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as
wanna
much.
watch this.
Yeah, so we're gonna be, if we're being any extra vague in parts, then
we apologize.
Maybe it's just things we're saving for you. Don't go watch it, please.
We are being fantastic reviewers. That's what we're doing.
We're so confident that you are all going to go and watch this thing.
I genuinely think to kind of circle back to one of the things that we often do in these reviews is like the type of people that would enjoy this.
Yeah.
I think most people would enjoy it. I think to kind of look at it from a different lens is the people that won't enjoy it, I think would probably is a very small subset of the sort of people that I know. I think it would be clearly not for kids, obviously.
No.
People that are adverse to violence. Like if you just like, I don't enjoy seeing violence. There's violence in this.
I don't think
It's not overly violent.
I don't think it's like overly bloodthirsty either.
No, definitely not. But I that would be a drawback for
Some people might not like the density, and some people, like I know some people that are just like, they don't. All that they watch is very light, very easy to consume stuff, because for them, watching TV or watching a movie or something is relaxation.
Yeah,
and they don't want to have to
think and go, understand,
really get into it.
And exactly right. That's the other point where it's just like that. It touches on quite heavy.
Yeah, it does.
Heavy topics.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some of the storylines are pretty. I don't think there's anything too, like, I would honestly say, like, I don't think there's anything too triggering.
No,
Rodney's story's not, like, maybe that's maybe a little close to home for some people.
Yes.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I think most of it's not too bad. Yeah, maybe Rodney's story gets a pretty close to home.
So there's a level.
Actually, it does deal with suicide and with a few other
drug
things
abuse
as well,
and
drug
so
abuse.
on and so forth.
It can get a bit touchy for people, but
that's the other point there. It's just like, okay, people that might not be able to watch this or enjoy watching it, those are the sorts of spaces.
Should also say, like, it does have that. That's the content that it talks about. It doesn't necessarily show any of that stuff. So if that's it doesn't 13 Reasons Why showing someone killing themselves.
Yes,
like that is
correct.
That is not what this is, but
it is very much a core part of the story.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. So other than that, like from my perspective and from my own kind of circle of friends and view and whatnot, I genuinely think most people, if not everyone I know that I'm close with, would enjoy it to an extent.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the same extent that we do, but very much still an enjoyable and consumable. And then unless you hate subtitles, I mean, if you're Chris and you're just like, can't stand the idea of...
Our friend Chris. No subtitles. Yeah, man, it's fine. It's only half of each episode, which is still like half an hour, but like whatever. Also, it's not directly half, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really like the parts, the Japanese things.
Absolutely.
I actually was Googling things about the show, factoids and all that kind of stuff. And one of the Google autocompletes was how much subtitles is in Giri Haji. And I'm like, you people are pathetic. No, I'm sorry, but you guys, like,
just
you
watch it.
Please don't not watch this because you're like,
it's got too
subtitles.
many
Like,
subtitles.
you're doing yourself like a huge disservice.
That mindset always baffles or makes me laugh because, like, for me, I watch it in like. No, not so much anymore, but I've watched, in my time, I have watched a significant amount of anime. And so subtitles is just so second nature to me.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm watching something with subtitles, I don't even realize that I'm reading. Like,
Right.
I am literally just consuming.
I still definitely like am generally like reading things.
I guess I have done it enough that it's just like, this is just the content. I don't feel like the subtitles take away from anything. I don't think it's distracting from the action or anything. It's just like my eyes have somehow been able to take in both at the same time. So it's always funny to me that people can be adverse to watching something simply because of subtitles.
I do understand that, like, again, when we go back to being like, oh, people are, they want light entertainment and they want to be able to just lie on their couch and just watch a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where this is more like, by the nature of subtitles, you have to lock into the thing
focused.
and you have to focus on the thing.
A lot of people are like doing their dishes, eating dinner.
Again, by nature, this show is a show. Well, even by genre, makes no sense.
Yeah.
But this is definitely not a show where you can like watch your
be on your phone,
your Twitter updates while you're watching this.
Yeah.
Like, you need to sit down and dedicate an hour to watch this. Actually, that is actually how my friend through work actually sold this to me.
Yeah.
He was like, I love it because the subtitles force me to sit down
focus
and lock in on what I'm consuming. Like,
Yeah.
I can't
you can't be distracted.
put everything down. We're just watching this.
Here we go.
With an hour.
Yeah.
An hour of can't check work emails, can't check anything. We are watching this right now for 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Which in its own way is
a good
actually
thing.
can be quite relaxing.
It's
for
like
people.
a way to unwind from work.
Being like,
you're
I'm
so
not-
focused on this thing, you're not thinking about work.
Yep.
Exactly right.
So it depends how you look at this, but yeah, I can understand how people are maybe a little bit turned off, but I would strongly recommend you at least watch the first episode and then just have a look, because even in the first episode, I don't think the pacing as well. I was going to say, I don't think at any point, like, there's been some shows where we're like, listen, if you watch the first, like Castlevania, we said if you watch the first 2 episodes of Castlevania and you don't like it, then show's not
let
for
it
you.
go. Yeah,
Like it grabs you by what
Straight
it
away.
does
Yeah.
in the first episode, or then maybe the second, and you're like, and if that didn't
if
grab
that
you,
hasn't sold it to you,
then
there's nothing in this
can
show
stop
for you
because you're not gonna
be
enjoy
into the rest of it.
what's further. This show is a bit different, simply because, and it's not because like, in generally I kind of dunk on shows that are like, I don't want to have to wait till episode 6 to find if I like it or not. I find that you will probably like or not like the show immediately as you start watching it, because it has a very clear sense of what it is, but by it be the nature of a crime thriller, like it's not all bangs and explosions and big set pieces up front.
straight away.
Like it builds that stuff.
It builds up. And it does a good job of building the story.
But there is tension all the way through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, the first episode is very different to the 7th episode, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just worlds apart. It's like a completely different feel and the whole situation. But when you watch it through, it makes perfect sense how it got from the first episode to the 7th or 8th episode.
It's not one of those things where you're like, oh, why did it take so long to pick up? It's not a sense of
it's not a pickup thing.
Yeah.
It's a progression thing.
It's more of a thing of like the characters, there's the mystery and the exploration. And then when you find the mystery out, then there's the frantic rush at the end of being like, everything, worlds are colliding, things are
this
exploding.
needs to happen right now.
What are the characters going to do?
Yeah.
Because the conflict of the show is no longer what's going on. We got to find out what's happening here.
Yeah.
It's
Shit's about to go down. We need to try to stop it.
How are you going to deal with this? Yeah. So again, very genre classic. If that's something that you're already aware of, very by the numbers, you'll
enjoy it.
It's not a pacing problem for me in that way at all.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly right.
But yeah. Again, it's also 8 episodes. It's not like you're looking down the barrel of like, oh, I've got to watch 2 seasons of a show and and then there's no filler either. It's not like, oh, cool, so we have 1 season of 20 episodes of a storyline and every third episode is probably going to be more filler. Like there's no everything is constantly building because there's one clear mystery and one clear story.
Yes.
And there's nothing else that distracts from that. There are B plot lines, but they always loop back
To the main
thematically.
story.
Always thematically. And I would say 95% of the time also back to plot. The direct
line.
through line plot.
Yes.
So everything is relevant. Everything is there for a reason.
Exactly right.
So it doesn't feel like you're wasting your time either, which, is good. I feel like British shows don't do that though. Like they're so used to being so short
Right.
that they don't ever waste your time.
Yeah.
Like even if it's a comedy, it's like we're going to do 4 episodes and it's going to be called a season.
And it's going to
8-episode season of half hour. And you're like, cool.
You're like,
how many episodes of Fawlty Towers exist ever? 16. Ever.
Yes.
Like
I've never actually really put a lot of thought into that. It's just like
British television
they don't care.
They tell their story and then they
it's
get
like
out.
get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
We're done here, guys.
Which is why I wasn't surprised when this show didn't get renewed. I mean, like, if I got a second season, I'd definitely watch it.
I'd actually be curious as to where it would go.
I
with
wouldn't want the
season.
second season to be terrible. I wouldn't want them to change tack into being like an American style show of being like, well, we got to have another season of plot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would have
they've
liked to
told
see
that
more
story,
of
right?
these characters.
Yeah,
but
so like I would assume that any sort of follow on would have to be like a very different space. It could be.
I think it's dealing with, without getting too much into spoilers, but maybe the aftermath of the finale.
and what
there's
comes
a lot of
after
stuff
that,
with
yeah.
Rodney that is left.
Yes,
unfinished,
unsolved effectively.
Yeah, they could have done something, but like honestly, the story is great the way it is.
As it is. Shall we delve a little bit, touch a toe into spoiler territory and go into what, if there were any outstanding sort of scenes that we feel we can touch on without ruining the story for anyone that's listening beyond this point?
So is it spoiler territory or is this?
It doesn't necessarily need to be spoiler territory, but is there any kind of like specific call outs that you're just like, this was something that stuck with you?
Yeah.
Because I can give a very brief point on one aspect that I was just like, shit, yes. Or holy shit. Or like,
yeah, sure.
Without giving it away.
So should we like?
Let's give the let's
Okay, we'll put up the warning.
Farewell. Yes.
Okay, so I want to thank everyone for listening in to our episode here. What do we do? If you would like to leave a review for this podcast, if you're able, especially on iTunes, that would be very well appreciated. You can follow us through your podcasting medium. I don't know, like there's so many options
Wherever
out there.
you get
There's
your podcast.
Spotify's follow, and there's a whole bunch of other ones as well.
Correct.
So you can get all the latest updates. The best thing you could do for us to help our podcast grow and reach more people is just tell a friend. Maybe the thing is, if you watch this
Or listen to this.
yeah, exactly. We are an audio meeting. That is like the third time we've done that. So professional. Yeah, if it's something,
podcast good.
If it's oh my gosh, if you watch Giri Haji or you've already seen it and really liked it, maybe send this episode to a friend who also you'll be like that. You'll love this, but
Listen to these guys.
These guys, they'll tell you this is a good show. They put thought into word. They do thought into word good. Watch good. Very good.
Very good. Yes.
So, yeah, it'd be great.
Just to kind of give a little bit more on top of that, actually, if there's any recommendations that you do have. So we've touched on Giri Haji as possibly one of the sleeper hits that we've found. We've touched on, we've certainly reviewed other things that aren't as well known, but not as hidden from our perspective. Let us know any hidden gems that you've come across that you've really enjoyed, or even not particularly enjoyed, but it's like, this is a hidden gem worth watching. Let us know. We'll give it a watch and hopefully
there's
give it
a few ways that
review as
like
well.
there should be in the podcast description. There'll be links to stuff like our Discord server, which is a larger part of what we do as well. That includes gaming and board games and Dungeons and Dragons and a whole multitude of things. But we do have a special
dedicated space
for movies and things that we're watching and things we're enjoying, and that community's great, and we have a lot of discussions about what we've all been watching, and they might become episodes sometimes it's just like, hey,
It's
I've
just
been
a
really
quick
watching this thing
conversation
and it's
on there.
been really cool and I've
Yeah.
been really enjoying it. And I've picked up some stuff from there already that I've been like, oh, I have to make a
Remember
mental
that.
note of that one.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
So yes, please jump in. Let us know if there's anything. Even if you're watching on YouTube, you can just chuck it into the comments. However you means, get it to us. We'll find it. We'll take your advice on board. So yeah, looking forward to that. So thank you guys very much. Now,
Yes.
to get into it,
Yep.
there was one scene that I want to call out, and it was later into the story or into the series, and it actually wasn't a main plot point. It was with regards to, what's her name,
Sarah.
based on her history with the issue that she had with one of the other police officers.
Yeah.
And that coming back to bite her, and then Rodney trying to help
Yeah, that's
by like effectively framing this guy. And then that scene just devolving into just something totally different.
Yeah,
And
it's
you just instantly see the impact that it has on Rodney.
yeah,
it's
that's
just like,
rough.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's really rough.
Like that hit me. Like I was just like, ow.
yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
So like and then that was just like you can only imagine what that would have done to Rodney, because you already know that he's struggling and suffering with his own choices and decisions and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the hardest hitting points.
Yeah, that was tough because like Rodney's a character who is very selfish and only looks out for himself, who is described in his opening scene as a sociopath, and who you see make mistakes and then try to atone for them. And what is so sad about it is that when he tries to do the right thing, it ends up even worse.
Yeah.
Like it's like some kind of like twisted karma that's like, cool, you were not caring and hurting people and they're bad, but like, you know, you were living your own life and you were partying and doing whatever you wanted. And the second he like reaches out and tries to fix things and do better, he gets crushed.
Things gets worse.
He gets annihilated. Yeah, it's
So-
rough. It's really rough.
Yeah. So that like out of every other scene, I was just like, yeah, this whole story is a bit of a shit show, like in that sense. But that one scene, like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have that to look forward to.
There's also a final scene in the final episode, and we won't even talk about what it is because we were saying before that if we tell you what it is,
it takes away from the story.
Then it takes away what it is. It's a spoiler just enough it is saying that there is something there in the first place. But yeah, the show gets really weird, but it fits so tonally that I was like, again, this has come up multiple times now, is someone that enjoys a unique experience of something of being like, this is something that you're not going to get
Elsewhere.
Yeah. This like went from being like, this is a really good, really engaging crime thriller to being like, I don't think I've seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
Like
I
immediately in
I
like one
definitely have
jump and
not.
I was like,
I
oh
definitely
my
have not.
gosh.
I
It's
think-
great. And again, ties everything back to the themes. I never thought, like, if any other show pulled what they did in the last episode, I would hate it. Like, I would hate
It's like,
it.
why?
And I'd
Why
be
would
like,
you
this
do
is
that?
pretentious.
Yeah.
This is so crap.
Yeah.
And yet, I loved it. And everyone that has seen this show that I talked to about it was like, that was great. I don't even know why they loved it, but they were like, but I loved it. And I was like,
do you want to know why I love it?
Yeah.
So to my earlier point about it delving into
it's also the shock, which
the-
is
A, the
then
shock.
why we're being vague about it now.
A, the shock, and B, my point earlier on about how the show does a fantastic job of showing connections and delving deeper into emotions. That scene nails it.
Yeah.
That scene absolutely nails it because, and then the follow-up scene actually extrapolates a little bit further to just like X, Y, Z, and this is why this whole story.
So
happened.
maybe if you're still listening and you haven't watched this yet, I mean, like you are running a risk because you are in spoiler zone here, guys. But you should come back and re-listen to this after watching the
you've
whole
watched
show,
it.
and you would just be like, oh yes, I'm now in on what they're talking about. I'm
too am in on
I'm
this.
very much in on all of this.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, so that was, to be completely honest, it threw me when it happened. Like you were saying, it was a shock. It was a shock. But for me, I was just like, why? And then after a while, I was like, oh yeah, Yeah, like it was just, it just took me a minute
super
to
into it. Well, that's the thing. It's jarring, and then you get super into it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
Also,
those two
do
things,
not. I will
fantastic.
say now, don't even Google it. You might get the temptation to be like, oh, like halfway.
What are they
through.
talking
I do
about?
that too
Yeah.
sometimes. Like I'm watching a show and I get impatient, and I'm like, oh, like a character will hint something. I did this a few times with My Hero Academia, where I was watching something, and then I got like. I was like, "Ooh, what's that? That's a hint." And then I Googled it,
and then it just
either
gives you the
confirmed it or
answer.
told me later.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah," and it turned out like the thing that I Googled was like something that was happening 3 episodes later, and I was like, I literally watched it that day, and I was like, "No, I should have let that happen."
Just let it happen.
Do not do. And Adam, do not do that for this show. Do not Google what happens at the end of this show, because it is something.
It is a good
super
surprise.
unique and surprising and fun in a way that you just don't expect, and it's something that you'll really enjoy.
Yes.
And you should not take that little bit of fun away from yourself, because that's what you will do. You'll ruin it for yourself.
You will
absolutely ruin it for yourself. Do not do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that was about it. I don't know if there was anything else that I had. There are some really cool story beat moments that I could talk about. A whole bunch of moments that I really enjoyed.
I really enjoyed.
But I just kind of don't want to get into it because I don't want to. Like they're fun because cool plot, but I don't want to start talking about the twists in this, even in the spoiler territory.
Yeah.
That's how much I really want people to go watch this.
I really enjoyed, and again, mindful of the spoilers in this situation. Like there's one section that's just that is quite different to the rest of the story, where it focuses on the wife, the mother.
Oh, that subplot's great.
And
that's good.
I suppose.
Oh,
the wife and the mother, and I forget her name now.
Sister-in-law.
Yes, but what's her name? Anyway, let's not worry about the name because I'll just be trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But that subplot was just wonderful. It was pleasant, and it
kicked ass too.
It absolutely kicked ass.
Great.
So I thoroughly enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, real emancipation story. It's fucking awesome.
It was
and then there's
stuff.
also the other one as well. I just realized was the other thing I'll say, which isn't spoilers because you just look up the cast, that I thoroughly enjoyed Charlie Creed Miles and Justin Long. I was like, when has Justin Long been in anything? Man, that guy. And he is very well. He's kind of cast in his type of a Justin Long character, but in a very different. Imagine if the Justin Long goofy, like doe-eyed love interest character that he plays in nearly every movie he's in.
Yeah.
Or every TV show, anything. Imagine that, but also a criminal and okay with killing people.
Yeah. Yes.
Really weird, but like Justin Long as a criminal is fun.
It was
very,
weird.
very fun.
It was weird.
And Charlie Creed Miles is Abbott, who I love him also in Peaky Blinders. And he's in a few other things. He's very much type straight into his cast of being
British gangster.
Great. I did a thumbs up. That's the 4th time. I did thumbs up to a screen that nobody's shooting at.
Our camera literally is not on.
That's what this used to be. We used to do video podcasts, and I just gestured towards the video camera as if it was on. How good. I'm leaving all of this in. But it's honestly like he's great, and he's also funny, which in a lot of his roles as a criminal he kind of is. Yeah, he's always hyper violent but also weirdly funny.
And I did like that. I don't think anyone was a bad actor.
Oh no, the acting in this is fantastic across the board. Honestly,
done. Yeah.
Even what you would consider the weaker performances are still like A grade. Like they only look weak or weaker because of how strong the cast is across the board.
Yes.
Like how good everyone is. Yeah. I don't know how we can sell this anymore.
I think we're done. I think we're done here.
I think we're done.
So once again, thank you guys very much for your time. Thoroughly enjoyed watching this and now reviewing this and encouraging you guys to watch this as well. As we said earlier on, jump onto Spotify, jump onto iTunes, whatever means you use to consume your podcasts mediums, and also jump onto our Discord or our YouTube. Just let us know what you think. Let us know if there's anything you'd like us to check out, and just converse with us. We are always in the mood to connect with and converse with people in the community. So we would love to get your input on any of the series in movies that we
got to find something else to review. I really like the fact the last time that we got to tease what we're going to do in this time. But we're not organized and just decided to not do that. And we're not even filming in bulk. We're just like doing one at a time whenever we feel like. So we're just like, cool. What's next? We don't even know. So if you guys so professional,
here's what's going to happen in a week's time. Adam's going to be like, Ben, we need to do the podcast next week. I was like, oh shit, yeah, what are we going to watch? I don't know. Okay, well, I've watched this thing. How about
you could be the I don't know for us family and friends. Just tell us what we should be taking a look at, and maybe we'll pull our finger out and actually do some more reviews.
Yes. So again, thank you guys very much for your time, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.